Hello everyone, Calvin Lewis here, Bio-Agtive emissions farming. We're starting the 2026 season off here by delivering some BCW water, Bio-Agtive carbon water. This carbon water specifically is formulated for each farm, and we put it into our fusion tank, and that is basically the starter. No different than making sourdough bread or anything like that, fermented product. You need a starter, and this is our starter that we supply. So I'm just currently going around and delivering the starter to each farm, and each farm will put a mixture of this in, usually 1 to 16 for every 1,000 liters, and then they will also spray it on. So I started out this year by getting a few units ready to go up towards Strathmore and Brooks area, Milo. This one here is just a base 28 unit. We got the exhaust valve right here that's currently open. And this system is basically just making steam and delivering on the booms. Now I'm just at the seeding unit, the tractor. This is our SBA 36260 HP. I do believe it's number 2 off the assembly line. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of going over, checking over things real quick. And here's a shot of the delivery pipes underneath the tractor. That's mounted, bolted to the tractor. This is the cold side of the system. The steam is going through those pipes here, running about 40 degrees, 50 degrees Celsius. And they're looking okay. So we got filters on the side of these culturing tanks. So the 2 black tanks on the side of the tractor, we call them culturing tanks. And inside there's a filter. And so I'm just opening that up and having a look inside and making sure there's nothing growing on the inside. And this is our cam lock filter. This is what's sucking out of the tank and spraying into the incoming hot exhaust, making a lot of steam for you. So I'm just checking this little fitting there. Usually it's cracked and won't allow for the pump to, build pressure. So I'm just going over the suction side of everything there and tightening it up, including the filter. So I'm just open the maintenance mode here on the monitor, and we're going to start the sprayer pump, see if we got pressure, see if we can empty the center tank, and see if there's going to be any problems with this sprayer pump. So this is the door, and I'm opening up the box because the sprayer pump actually did not turn on at this point. So I'm opening up the fuse box. This is underneath. We got each side connected to our culturing tanks with valves that can empty those tanks in case there's frost. It's a pretty, the process of the system's pretty big, so it's quite a bit of pumps and everything. So that's the broken fuse. It went out, so I just replaced that fuse and pressed the start stop, and it seemed to work. So I'm opening the EV8 valve, which is the loading valve, and gonna just try and alter all the valves here, open and close them to make sure that they're actually all functioning. Each one of these valves does a process that is important for managing the water in your fusion tank. So at the start of every season, I'll go and just open and close these valves manually, make sure they don't get stuck. Sometimes they do get stuck, and it just because there could be a bit of growth or just a bit of frost or things like that. Sometimes opening and closing them multiple times works. So I'm gonna try get the center fusion tank to fill. This is in high speed, of course. Filling it and then emptying it. That's all done on the monitor. So it's taking the water from the center tank, pushing it to the culturing tanks, and then pulling it back in. So I'm just putting together the filters back in. Everything seems to be running. So I'm pulling the motor off, the pump off this door here, because it's not giving me pressure, and this is why. We got diaphragms here that have been used. These ones look okay. There's a couple holes on them. This is completely missing. So we're going to replace new diaphragms in there, throw her in. And now we're ready to fill her up. We got the operator here, and we're going to fill this unit up to see if it holds water and see if it can circulate and hold pressure. If we can do that, then we're going to go to the field and give it a good shot. So I'm just opening everything right now to fill the center tank and the side tanks. And I'll do that actually in manual mode. As you see, I'll open up 100%. Here we are right now. We are waiting to get everything ready to go from the operators. Here's the sprayer unit. And so we're just doing actually barley here on this farm. About 2,000 acres of barley. Pretty early. Down the main highway. So, bioactive emissions farming really allows control of a flow that already exists in agriculture. You know, it controls whether the carbons that are emitted by the engine. So during combustion, our engines are making very special carbons that we normally consider it as waste, but this bioactive emissions farming is actually turning that waste into something recyclable, and it remains on farm to be processed as active carbons. So there's a difference between carbon and active carbons. And the carbons that are coming out of the engine can be activated, and they are then recycled back into the living biological cycle. So really, stable carbon is built by microbes, not residue alone, but in order to get microbes, they require energy. And that energy comes from active carbon in usable form, which is from your engine. And if you process it through the bioactive method, it is usable. And you can feed the biology. If you feed the biology first, then the carbon flow follows. And that's what we're doing. So the fusion tank mounted on the front of this tractor here that I'm working with, I'm currently just making sure all our levels are okay and we're ready to go. We're 80% full, but the system here, the fusion tank processes carbon during normal tractor operations while you're seeding. And that's what we're demonstrating here, that it doesn't require additional passes, that we're actually applying this vapor of a biological solution as we're seeding. And this is actually going into, most times, the seed cart fan with the seed. Nanocarbons that are created during combustion are captured and processed and delivered through the back of the seed cart, and that treats the seed. So we're not using any seed treatment pickling on the seed, we're just going straight dry and filling the tanks up with all seed, no fertilizer. The fusion tank's role in the system, really, it is the enabler, which is great for this operation. It receives the captured carbon from the engine, it conditions it into a usable form, and the system maintains it in a biologically active state, which is what you want as you're going to apply a biological solution. It's creating more biology as your tractor is going across the field and delivering it as steam. And the steam is very important for delivery. And these microbes, they live and reproduce in the fusion tank solution, in the center tank, and on the culturing tanks. And these microbes, they're activated with these soluble carbons that are solubilized inside of the fusion tank. And that solution then becomes steam. And when it's in steam, we can distribute it evenly. It's very immediate contact, and it allows for a rapid biological response. Very consistent field coverage, surface area coverage. And I think the most important about it is it's accessible right there on the front of the tractor. It's creating all the microbes and biology that the soil actually really needs. So At this point, we done a full tank, and I'm checking everything over and making sure that the system has got a good burn rate. As you can see, it's very empty. I think we did close to almost 100 acres, so I think we were putting down about 3 liters to the acre, 4 liters to the acre of product. And so what we're doing here is we're adding a mix of 1 to 16, so 1 part of BCW to 16 parts of reverse osmosis water, RO water. And the quality of water that you use is very important for this. When we recommend water that's been treated for reverse osmosis. So I'm just showing here the delivery of this tractor in particular. It's dual delivery out the back, combines into one hose, goes to the back of the air cart and into the air cart fan. And in some operations, it can become pretty wet, and so it's important to understand and know how to operate your system so you can reduce as much moisture as you can. The BCW, the bioactive carbon water, it really is a biological activation system that is designed to restore the functions in our agriculture soil by addressing our most limiting factor in agriculture. In modern farming systems right now, it's biologically available carbon. And there's a difference between carbon that is fresh and reactive. There's fresh carbon and old carbon. And the carbon that we capture is right from the engine. So we're coming to another farm here, and this one's just south. And we are actually just doing a swap over from old equipment to new. We got 2 new pieces of equipment here, both from Case. And many of you probably will ask, what about the new exhausts, like DEF and particular filters and things like that? It actually works great. It breaks down and fully oxidizes the exhaust for us. There is still exhaust coming out of there, even though you can't see it. It's just the carbons are in a very small amount. And the smaller you make it, the more efficient the bioactive system on the front of your tractor is going to process that carbon. And so the DEF and particular filters are no problem at all. They actually help us. But there are situations where an old direct injected Cummins or something like that can be used, and it we can make do with any sort of technology that's controlling your exhaust cleanliness. And the smaller it breaks it down and oxidizes it more, the better it is for us. So I'm just on the way up here to northern Alberta, and got another swap over to do. And this one here is on a Cat Challenger, just before they switched to Fendt. And some of these frames that we build have to be customized on site or so forth. This one in particular was a bit tricky. We mounted on the weight bracket, and I wanted it to be able to be taken off easily, part by part. So everything's built right now to bolt on and off without hopefully too much hassle, if need be. We did remove a few weights to use the system as a weight, and actually it really balanced this unit out with what it was towing, the drill and cart, and it really leveled it out. So as you can see here, we cut out a plate that goes over top of the mounting the weight bracket, and the other weights just bolt it straight in, and then it's from there bolted onto our plate that bolts onto our system. So here's the final product. I think it was about 3 or 4 days later of work. We got the exhaust coming out at 5-inch and going straight up to the exhaust relief valve on this 740. So there's an exhaust relief valve that opens up manually from the cab, and that allows the exhaust to be redirected so you're not burning extra product as you're moving around fields or to fields or on the highway, or if you're doing something else. It just redirects the exhaust out. It's very basic. You just direct the hot exhaust straight into the center of our fusion tank here, and then as the exhaust goes in, that's where it almost works as like a scrubber, but there's a few other engineered techniques that we put into our system that makes the solubilization of the carbons from your engine a lot more efficient. So, and then these are the pipes that hold the steam that's being delivered back to the cart, and those run about 40 degrees with the steam inside. You can actually put your hand on it. It doesn't burn you at all. And then it's just directed into the seed cart fan there. So here's another farm that we set up. Did another swap over. This is a versatile. These machines make a lot of heat. And I think we were getting maybe 80 or 90 acres on this machine. You can see the bit of the steam back there, and what's interesting about this product is it's heavier than air, so it settles in, and it moves with partial pressure. It goes from high to low, of high concentration of CO2 to low concentration of CO2, just like my respiration system, exchanging carbon and oxygen in my lungs. It goes from high to low, and that low concentration in the soil and the high concentration of the exhaust going to the soil, it actually moves in from high to low. And then of course, with it being steamy, if it's gonna stick, it's not gonna float away on you. Well, here we are back at Olin Creek Ranch down in Pincher Creek, and we're actually just finishing up seeding our corn here. This is about June 5th, and you'll be able to see the product a lot better here with the steam, as you can see. And when he lifts out of the ground, it's definitely noticeable versus when he has his drill in the ground, of how the product is applied. We're doing about 27,000 seeds on 7-inch row spacing, and we just graze this. We will harvest it a bit, but we will probably graze it. So thanks for joining us. This is just the start of 2026, and we hope to see you back on our next bit of recording here. Thank you, and have a good day. You know, he makes the money. He earns it respectively too. This dog works all day, all night. Can't believe it. Unreal.